name is Matt Giblet. I'm with Diversified Energy Services.
And where are you based out of?
We're based out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Okay, great. And Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, do you guys stick around, the scoop and the stack, or do you get into some other shale plays that are outside of the state of Oklahoma?
Yeah, so we work in the Permian Basin and a little bit in the JD Basin, out in Wyoming and Colorado, a little bit, not much, but primarily the scoop stack and the merge and down in West Texas, middle Odessa area.
No kidding. You guys are up in Wyoming, huh?
A little bit. We worked up there with a couple of companies.
Okay, so Diversified Energy Services, talk to me about what it is you guys do. Are you guys an oil company, a midstream company? Just talk to me about your services and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're an upstream company, so we're a flowback well testing company. We come in and at the frac, we provide just tank and iron, general support at the frac, which is where they go in and obviously frac the well. And then after that, we catch the debris coming out of the well immediately after the frac. When they do their drill outs, we catch the plug debris, which comes off of after the initial operations on the frac and the perf. And then after that, we test the well and make sure it comes online and make sure that everything is good to go, and fill out our reports every day and turn them in and let them decide what they're going to do with the well from there, and turn over to production and keep a few pieces of iron there, and then once they decide to release it and go to the tank batteries and go to commercial and go to sales, we get our iron and go home.
Talk to me
hopefully to the next well.
And you mentioned that you guys are doing flowback and well testing, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that more in detail. That's kind of a hot item right now. A lot of people are talking about that because it's making the oil companies money.
Well, just to stay really specific on kind of what we do, it's pretty broad-ranging kind of expertise, I guess you could say. So flowback and well testing pivots primarily on the talent end of it. So it's not really that unlike maybe running a piece of equipment, for instance. The operator, the flowback hand of the operator, is the one who really makes the difference. So you've got, I guess I really need to probably start at the beginning where they frack the well, so they go down and frack the well, and they set plugs in between each frack, and then hold on a second, let me get this.
No, that's okay. It was kind of a pop quiz, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was kind of a pop quiz. So you have the frack, then you have where they frack and they put plugs in between each stage, in between each frack, and so there's pressure held there. And then after that, of course, they come in and they drill the plugs out. That way they can bring all of the natural gas, the oil, and to the surface so they can sell it. Well, so they come in, they drill that out. As they drill that out, obviously the pressure brings everything to the top. We catch, separate, isolate, and kind of make sure that the clean out on the wellbore goes, smoothly without a hitch. So that's kind of the middle of the process, the drill out. And then, of course, after the drill out, you're going to try and kind of look at the viability of the well, how it's producing, how much oil, how much gas you're getting, how much water you're getting for every barrel of oil. You get a lot of water usually, and we just keep track of that with an Excel spreadsheet, turn it into the engineers, and then as it kind of everything settles down and becomes more, you get a long-term idea of what the well's going to do. It goes to production, and a lot of companies are different. And then on what they call completions productions, and so that's a whole nother subject. But once it's kind of settled out a little bit, we take everything to the tank batteries. You've got water in one tank battery, you got oil in the other, and the gas goes right down the sales line, and everything kind of settles out and smooths out, and once they feel like that they don't need us anymore to monitor the well or to test the well, we call it well testing, and then they'll either move us on to another job, or they release the iron and we go on our way.
Are there any similarities from well to well, or are they just each one is unique in its own way?
Oh yeah, that goes back to the flow hands, the operators. They are truly the most important asset that we have, which is something that makes us different as a company. We understand how important they are, and we never, because each well is different. Yes, long and short of it is, yes, it's different. Each well is you may have more gas than oil, more water than, most usually your water is 8-to-1 water, barrels of water produce water per barrel of oil, but it changes. You may have wellhead pressure is always different. It could be 900, it could be 20,000. There's so many variables, and so it makes your operators that much more important.
What are you seeing from your different projects you guys have going across, these different states, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico? You might get up into Wyoming from time to time. Are you seeing some good activity?
Well, when you say activity, you mean just hustle and bustle in general, or?
Yeah, you're seeing white trucks around town, and
we're running. Anything that it tends to jump ahead, as opposed to kind of how the oil and gas industry is doing at hand. I would say at the moment, the most interesting thing that jumps out at me is the lack of pipelines and the lack of viable to-market utilities that we have in the Permian in particular. We're seeing a lot of oil just setting in the pipelines in the Permian because we don't have our rail yards really up and going to take the oil to the market, and we don't have long distance pipelines either just yet. So there's kind of a scramble going on there. We're noticing a lot of oil, I should say, setting in the pipelines in the Permian, which is really unusual. Even though it's still booming, there's really not a place to take the oil. You're seeing a lot of trucking of the oil, and a lot of oil setting in the pipelines with no place to go. A little bit alarming, but doesn't seem to slow it down any. It doesn't seem like.
So that's kind of what's the pipeline infrastructure that is going to take us to the next level. Then I'm hearing that in like the Bakken, for example. They've got a lot of different projects that are going to be going over the next 3 years. A lot of them actually with the gas gathering. Up in the Bakken, they've got that wet gas compared to the dry gas down in the Permian. But so that's kind of what you're seeing, is that we need to get these pipelines built for the next level of energy activity and economic activity to go to that next level, huh?
Yeah, I'm seeing the Permian just with a huge glut. It's just really unusual. It's something that you never really expect to see with the boom at hand the way it is. It's just kind of odd. Oklahoma, you're seeing a lot of the upstart companies that are backed by private equity. They're it just moves from region to region. What I see, you've already talked about the lack of infrastructure in the Permian, in North Dakota. In Oklahoma, we're seeing a lot of acquisitions going on. We see a lot of private equity groups building small fields and then selling them, and a lot of flipping, and it's really hard so it's really hard to keep our as a Flowback well testing company. Our overhead is really, really high because of the safety variables that are built into our industry. It's inherently, you have to be really safety conscious at all times. So our overhead, we have to tag our iron, test it. We have to maintain a huge umbrella, and there's a lot of expenses, the training, and paying your guys, to stay, the good ones. And so in Oklahoma, the problem we're having is we're seeing a lot of smaller companies wanting to really push us hard on our prices so that they can, sell. When they do decide to sell to the larger mid-majors, they can make as much money as possible. So you're seeing entire sets of iron renting out, at, under $1,000 a day for an entire set of iron, which is just unheard of. And so it makes it really difficult on us. So we see ourselves really working with a lot of the mid-majors because, they tend to look more at quality. Not to say that the smaller folks aren't looking at quality. I'm just, they're not really so much driven by pricing, even though they are to a point. Everybody is. They're more driven by getting that well to produce as much as it can. So they look at us from the perspective of quality iron, really good flow hands, so that they know that they can bring their wellhead or their well on maximum production. So it's kind of it's a juggling act in Oklahoma, whereas in the Permian you're just you're flowing, just making sure you can keep your quality, a good high quality workmanship, and while blowing and going as fast as you can. Oklahoma's not so much that way.
Yeah, the energy industry can be pretty complex at times, but it can be pretty simple too. I like to ask people just kind of, who is your customer? A little opportunity for you to kind of plug your business and who your direct customer is.
Who are our direct customers? Oh, we work with, that, some of the information is a little dicey, but with us, we work with the mid-majors, so we work with some of the, if you're asking about the producers.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to name names. I'm just, kind of opportunity for, you to let people know that, hey, this is our company and this is kind of, who our customers are and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's in terms of give you an opportunity to pick up some business.
Diversified Energy Services, we grow at a pace that optimizes our commitment to quality. So we that having been said, we attract some of the really high-end producers. We work with some of the larger producers in the Permian. Without getting too deep into the weeds, we work with Anadarko Petroleum, Concho, and some others. Oklahoma's the same way. We're picking up a brand new drilling program with one of the mid-majors here in Oklahoma. And so we find ourselves gravitating more toward the larger producers. That keeps us out of the woods. It keeps us from, really having to fight like crazy for the dollar,
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, cash flow is important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You can, in our industry, you can get in the race to the bottom, and you'll find yourself a year later wishing you hadn't done that. Sitting at home has its disadvantages, but if you know your value, it's always good to stay confident, stay where you're at, and it'll eventually come back around full circle. It's really all about the bottom line with oil in the 60s the way it is now.
Yeah. I like to give people kind of the final word. That way the question isn't framed by me. Matthew Giblet, Mr. Matthew Giblet with Diversified Energy Services. Any final thoughts? Anything that we missed? Anything you want to reiterate? That sort of thing. So the floor is yours.
I would just like to thank you for letting us on and giving us a shot here to kind of let everybody know a little bit about us. And I'd like to encourage everybody to be safe. Be safe out there, and look up and look around, keep your head on swivel, and I wish everybody the best of luck. A happy Halloween.